If you've ever been the one who handles it, the one people rely on, the one who keeps things moving, figures things out, and somehow makes it all work, even when you're running on fumes, this episode is for you. Because there's a kind of burnout that doesn't look like falling apart. It doesn't look like missed deadlines or chaos on the outside. It looks like competence. It looks like being fine. It looks like being the capable one. And here's what often gets missed. What allows you to function, achieve, and be dependable for years can quietly place a steady load on your nervous system, one that doesn't announce itself until you're already depleted. In this episode, we're going to slow down this pattern and look at it more closely. We'll explore how being the capable one actually shows up in daily life, why it can start to feel heavier over time, even when nothing has changed, and what begins to shift once you can see this pattern clearly for what it is. Not through pushing harder, not through fixing yourself, and not by pretending you're less capable than you are. If you've been wondering why you're exhausted despite doing everything you know how to do, be sure to listen. Welcome to the Self-Loved ADHD Woman's Way podcast. I'm your host, Jen Barnes. If you're an ADHD woman entrepreneur, ADHD adjacent, or ADHD-ish, you've come to the right place. We'll dive deep into the unique challenges you face, from the inner turmoil to the outer obstacles. We'll blend neuroscience, IFS, and somatic healing, and explore practical strategies to help you navigate the world of entrepreneurship with ADHD with greater ease and effectiveness. I'm glad you're here. Hey, it's Jen. I'm so glad you're here. So I don't know about you, but I've been the capable one for years. The one people go to, the one people rely on when they can't figure things out, which, to be honest, if you're like this, I suspect, like me, you also get something out of it, right? It's kind of cool to be able to help with so much and have people need you and be like, oh, Jen can help, right? I don't know, I've taken a strange sense of pride in that. Like, oh yeah, I'm available, I can help. Whatever. And you may notice this too. And if you're anything like me, what I notice happens by being the capable one is we end up overextending ourselves. So what does that look like? I remember back when I was in Colorado Springs, I loved going to this one yoga studio. I was the yoga coordinator at Lifetime Fitness in Colorado Springs. And I saw that my yoga teacher who owned the business was not great at managing things. And she knew that, like self-admittedly. This is not a secret. She talked about having a part of her that much preferred to lay on the couch eating Doritos. And so when I came up to her and I was concerned her studio was going to close because she was not good at managing it, and I said, "Hey, can I help you?" She's like, "Yeah, I can't pay you right away, but I eventually could pay you if what you're doing shows that it's helping us." And I was like, "Great, no problem." And now I'm like, huh, isn't that interesting? Because I was helping her probably like, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours a week. And she did eventually start paying me $250 a month. But that doesn't quite account for the, the amount of time I was putting in to help her business. But anytime something came up that she didn't want to do, and this is just one example, I can think of many, and you probably have this. I was like, oh, I could do that. Like there was a time when the IRS was going after yoga studios for having independent contractors because they're like, no, they should be employees so we can tax them more. Anyway, she's like, oh, I don't think I can figure this out. I was like, I can, and I did. And maybe you hear yourself in this, and maybe it wasn't with a yoga studio, probably not. That's less common, but perhaps there's ways you do this. I've done this in my career as well, where as high achieving ADHD women who mask through that achievement and overfunctioning and people pleasing, we often volunteer for things, or people start to see how capable we are because we force ourselves to figure shit out. So then they come to us with stuff. And because a lot of us learn, like masked through people pleasing, we can have a hard time saying no. And some of that is the mask of people pleasing. Some of it is we don't like it when people are mad at us, and it can be hard to deal with when people are mad at us because it's just more stimuli, it's big feelings, it doesn't feel good. It probably fuels the shame that we experience already deep down that many of us don't even realize we have for having ADHD. And so there's all these reasons why we say yes, and we become more and more capable as we say yes more and more because we have this amazing toolbox of things that we've done and skills that we have. And so it's really kind of cool. And the problem is when we become the capable one, we end up with way more on our plates that we could possibly do well into our 40s and, for some of us into our 50s. And then as perimenopause hits, we're just like too damn tired to do it all. Or just even as you start to get older, you're exhausted from like everyone else gets to go. I remember being in my 30s being like, everyone else gets to go outside and have fun and play. And why am I not getting to do that? Well, because I was so capable and helping so many people, whether it was tech support with their phone or their computer or the yoga studio or something else, we start helping so much, being capable so much that we lose our own life. And we even start to lose track of ourselves. And eventually, if this goes on long enough, we get exhausted. We look fine because we're still highly functioning, achieving well, highly capable in how we help others. And if you're a mom, you're highly capable in how you help your family. And if you're married, maybe even your spouse. And yet, you might start to notice signs that it's not working anymore. For me, I tend to notice the first thing is irritation, and for me, it's irritability. I notice that same irritation with others. It's often irritability or feeling like things aren't fair, or how come they get to do that and I don't? Or a lot of times for moms, they notice that they're yelling at their kids more than they usually do. Even, and I get it. Listen, if you're a mom, I'm not going to judge you for yelling at your kids, especially if you've asked them nicely once or twice to do something and they haven't done it yet. Right? So I understand why we raise our voices, though there can be some boundary work there that I'm not going to talk about on this call that can help you with it. But again, it's tricky. It's hard. There's so many times that happens in a day with everything else on your plate. So no criticism if that's you. But if you're being the capable one all the time and you have all this extra stuff on your plate, you might notice yourself yelling at your kids more. That's what a lot of my clients say. And then they feel shame about it. Or you might notice yourself yelling at your partner more, a spouse if you have one, or even drivers on the road, definitely being like, what the F, dude? Versus just like, all right, people are going to drive how they're going to drive. It's really not my business. I just need to be safe for inside my own self and how I'm on the road. So for you, it might be irritation. I also notice that I tend to be like driven on a motor. Like I feel like I'm just pushing, pushing, pushing all the time. It can feel like anxiety. It can feel like rushing to get everything done. Oftentimes people will say, oh gosh, you're moving really fast. I better get out of your way. That's usually a clue for me. It might look like pushing, pushing, pushing and getting all this stuff done, being super capable, and then crashing at the end of the day into doom scrolling or binging shows or whatever. But being highly capable and then in turn saying yes to everything is eventually going to look like burnout, which is what I'm describing. And eventually that burnout gets to a place of the crashing being longer and longer. Because what that really is you've been in fight or flight so long from overfunctioning for decades. And then your body's like, we can't do this. And it probably does the cycle of push, 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 crash, push, 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 crash over and over and has done it throughout your life. But with burnout, that shutdown is much bigger. That shutdown, that true state of burnout, true state of complete overwhelm cannot be healed except through nothingness. I've seen people with extreme burnout, had them on calls before when I've done webinars, and talked with them about their burnout, and they're just like, I can't even engage in coaching right now. I don't even have the energy to do that. Like right now, I'm just resting. And, they were in the person I'm thinking of is in another country, so they have better support for people who are having some kind of problem like that than maybe people experience in the States. Because I can hear people in the States being like, must be nice. You can just take 3 months off to rest. It's everyone's got different things going on. I'm not saying it was easy for that person, but sometimes we can get so in a place of burnout that we can't do anything anymore. And so it's really important that if you're the capable one, that you're paying attention to number one, that you are the capable one and being intentional about what you commit to. But then secondly, noticing signs of burnout so that you can slow down and take it easy before true burnout hits, because true burnout is often quite debilitating, where you'll be months without capacity to really do anything. And so it can take a long time to heal from. So if you're teetering on the edge of burnout, you'll notice some of those things like that irritability creeping in, even more anger. And I'm not talking about valid anger, like anger about the patriarchy. I mean, that's valid. And like, it's just, if you're a woman, of course, you're angry about all the things that entails. But if you're finding yourself angry about things that aren't as big, or you're finding yourself not really feeling like doing much, or not enjoying things you used to, or dreading your to-do list, whatever it is, those are some signs that you're teetering on the edge of burnout. And so it's really important then to pull back. So this video isn't just about burnout, but it's about a specific kind of burnout, how we get ourselves there by being the capable one. And we've already talked about how it makes sense that you've done this, especially as a high functioning overachiever. This was a nice way to get accolades and achieve more and have people trust you and then give you cool stuff to work on, give you promotions, whatever it is, but also then give you a little more grace during those moments your ADHD does show up, even if you don't recognize that's when it shows up. Subtle things like how you engage in conversation is different from non-ADHD folks, or maybe the way that you work isn't a consistent way, like a steady progress, but it's more of a like heavy work day and then kind of a lighter day and then a couple lighter days and then a really heavy day and then like 3 light days, right? And so people are willing to give you more grace and flexibility because you've been capable. And that might not be you. But what I would recommend you do is you notice, like, if you're feeling great from being the capable one, I'm not trying to take that away from you. The part of you that loves that, I'm not saying you can't do that anymore. But what I am saying is that doing it too much comes at a cost. And it comes at a cost of your own self, your own body, your own life. The life of your closest loved ones, too, because they tend to also get impacted, because they're usually the ones we're irritable with. So what we can do then is start to pay attention to these patterns. If I were you, I would start noticing, like, where does this capable part of me show up? That's like, I'll do that. And even volunteers way more than you have time for, because you have a good heart. You love helping people, but you also have a part that feels better when you help people. And there's nothing to be ashamed of there. It feels good to help someone. In fact, I was just part of a talk where the focus was on receiving gratitude. And Andrew Huberman mentioned it on a recent podcast about gratitude, where receiving gratitude is actually even more powerful than expressing gratitude. So, of course, our intelligent ADHD brains that were able to be overfunctioning and high achieving, we hacked our way into like, oh, that feels really good to be thanked. Of course you did. And it comes at a cost. Maybe not in your 20s, maybe not even in your 30s, but as you're getting into your 40s and 50s and older, especially as you hit perimenopause, you're going to find it's just not something you can do anymore as much as you have been. So the part of you who loves being capable, they don't have to stop. It's just that I'm going to invite you to try something different. And it's this. When you feel an urge to volunteer for something, or someone asks you to do something, or someone asks for your help, what I want you to practice saying is some variation of this. I would love to help with that. Let me check what else is on my plate first. Let me check my calendar and what else is on my plate first. Because what that does is that buys you time. A lot of us with our ADHD, we can be impulsive. We're like, yeah, I'll do that. But then we go back to our desk and we're like, shit, I don't have time for this. But I already promised. So now I feel like I have to. Otherwise, I feel shame, like I'm a bad person if I don't do it. So to avoid that experience, practice saying, I would love to help you with that, but first let me check what's on my calendar and what else is on my plate to see if that's something I have space for. And you can say it in a variety of ways. That's more of a professional context. To your kids, you're not going to say that like, oh, you want an ice cream cone? Let me see if that's something I have space in my calendar for. Like, you're going to say it differently. You might say, maybe let me think about it to a child because they're not going to get the whole context. But then actually go check and even take some time to let it sit with you what it would mean for you to take on this other thing. Because when we become, I don't want to say like guard dogs of our to-do list, but when we become very mindful of what we put on our task list, we actually become more productive. A lot of us with ADHD put way too much on our list, and then we get stressed and just all kinds of chaotic trying to get it all done. Whereas if instead we are more intentional about our priorities, which should be just one priority, that was the original meaning of the word. But a lot of us, you could have like your top three. But when you identify your priorities and then check and see if things are aligned with that, in addition to what else is like, do I have space for this new thing with others and your own shiny object syndrome self? Then you can begin to curate a task list, a workload that matches or that is in alignment with your priorities and what you want your life to look like. And you can do this at work too. There's a great book, if you want to argue with me about it, that I recommend you read. If you're like, nope, couldn't do that at work. No way, no way. And I mean, listen, if you're a barista at Caribou Coffee, probably not. Nothing against baristas. But if your boss tells you to do something, you may not be able to like, no. I mean, maybe if you're like handling, I don't know what a lot of orders is, like 10 orders all at the same time. And they're like, hey, could you quick take out the garbage? You might be like, hey, I've got these 10 orders first that I need to do, then I can do it if I don't keep getting flooded. Or I'm in a bit of a rush, I can do it when things settle down, right? But generally speaking, if you're listening to this, chances are you are a professional woman of some kind. You either have a career or you have a business. And so in the workplace, you can say to your supervisor, who's ever giving you the task, and this comes from Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism. I forgot what the subtitle is, but it's something about doing less, the art of doing less or something like that. But basically, what he suggests is you say something like, I would love to do this. Can I check what's on my plate first? And I'm like, no, you need to do this. Say, okay, would you be willing to help me go through what I need to deprioritize? Because here's the other things on my plate. Because what that does is it gives you an opportunity to share with your supervisor what your workload is. Because a lot of times they're not tracking that. They're just trying to find someone who's capable to do the thing, not keeping in mind that they've actually already asked you to do 5 other super high priority things. So by saying it that way, you're entering into conversation about your workload. So instead of overcommitting and then driving yourself closer and closer to burnout, working wild hours and not getting to have a life just to meet this because your supervisor didn't know everything you were working on. I'm not suggesting you become obstinate, but rather, how can you enter into those conversations? And there's lots of ways to do this. And when you start to practice it with the people in your life, you will see things start to shift. Now, with children and your spouse, especially if you have a cisgendered heterosexual male for a spouse and you're a woman, sometimes this is just what I hear. I'm not married, I'm not partnered anymore by choice. But what I hear a lot is that a lot of my clients do a lot for their spouses, their male spouses, that they could actually do for themselves. And they just do it. So, what I would recommend in that case is that you slowly work on giving things back to them. And it's going to be some conversations. But if you're doing things that they can do for themselves, or even if you have elderly parents or older parents, I have a parent who's 76 years old and has some mobility issues. And I love helping him. And I will not do things that he can do for himself. Because then two things happen. One, I get overloaded. Actually, a few things happen. One, I get overloaded and in turn get resentful of him, even though I'm the one that said yes. And then I'm less compassionate, less loving, right? So that's a whole thing. But then two, he stops being capable around that task. And it took some time. There was some time where my father did not like the boundaries I put up around my time and space and what I will do for him. I was very clear, like, you can do that for yourself, and I know you can. And if I do it for you, first of all, I'll be overloaded, and then I'm not going to have time to do fun things with you because all of my time with you will go to this. But also, I'm going to get frustrated and resentful because you're not doing this thing you can do for yourself. As we worked through this, it took years, I'm not going to lie. But he was able to do more and more and more and more. And so it's been really beautiful how our relationship has grown now that I'm not doing things he can do for himself. I actually wasn't the one doing a lot of things that he could do for himself. My mom was until she died almost 7 years ago now. And so then it was like he was trying to get other people to help him. I digress. This is not about my father. He's a good man. My point is if you also have senior or elderly parents, it's okay to help them. And it's important that you don't help them where they're capable because they want to live independently. Most seniors don't want to end up in assisted living any faster than they have to. So let them do the thing. And this brings me to children. Our job as grown-ups in the lives of children is to help them learn how to grow into capable adults. Not highly capable so that they're overfunctioning for everyone else, but adults who can do things for themselves. So when you overfunction for your kids, they don't learn that. They go away to college, like me, and don't know how to do laundry. So that freshman year, when they lose their mom's written instructions on how to do laundry before cell phones exist, they're in the laundry room crying until a junior guy on the football team comes in and is like, honey, what's wrong? And you're sobbing and snotting all over the place, explaining that you don't know how to do laundry, so he teaches you. Like, true story. We don't want that to be your kids. I mean, thankfully, this was the 90s. That was still something people did. Nowadays, I don't know what anyone would do. I don't know what things are like. That you probably would text your parents. I suppose you have a cell phone. But we want our kids to already know these things. So look up. There's lots of places online that talk about what kids can do at different ages. Start young. Start having them clear their plate as soon as they can walk. And they might have to, they might have to hand it to you at the sink and you put it up there because they might not be able to reach the counter. But have them start picking up their toys, doing those things so that as they're getting older, you're getting older too. You aren't having to overfunction for them. If you're like, well, my kids are 15, now what? You can slowly start handing things back to them. It's not too late. But you might have to do it a little more gradually because they've relied on you for all these things. And if you hand all this stuff back to them at the same time, they're not going to be able to do it. It's important that you see, though, this you being highly capable is great and can hurt your kids if you're overfunctioning for them, doing things that they can do for themselves. I'm not suggesting we leave our crying babies and don't attend to them, but I'm suggesting that we raise our kids to be capable, functioning adults by helping them learn how to function in the world to their ability. If you have a child who's autistic, for example, and they are level 3 autistic, then yeah, there's like probably a lot you're not going to hand off to them. So think about what that is for you. All right. So the one step I want you to take from this video, now that you know what being the capable one feels like, how good it feels, you came by it honestly, and see how it can harm you. The one thing I want you to practice is before you agree to something, whether something you see that's shiny and you're like, ooh, another course, ooh, another tech tool, or whatever it is you see as shiny, or someone else giving you something, or you volunteering to do something, I want you to pause and at least say to yourself, if not to the other person, some variation of, I would love to do that for you. Let me check what's on my plate first. If it's your kids, let me do that for you. And I know you can do this for yourself. I'm willing to help you, but I'm not willing to do it for you, right? So some variation. My hope is that from this, you will be seen and you will take away that new step to practice. Because listen, burnout sucks. And I was teetering on the edge of it, almost hit it, but my body spoke up loud and clear in August and with some major pain. So I was like, okay, I either stop doing all this overfunctioning now or I'm going to really shut down. And that would be a huge problem. So I don't want you to get there. If you found this at all helpful, I would love it if you would subscribe or follow this podcast wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's YouTube or Podbean or iTunes or Spotify, whatever. And if you would share this with another ADHD woman who would find this helpful, I would love it. Because as we get this out to more and more ADHD women, I can help more people. And then that means I can keep doing this longer for you, this free service. So I would love it if you would spread the word. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time. Take good care.